Hey everyone, it's UrPeaceKeeper, coming at you with something slightly different. There have been a number of you guys that have been asking in the comments why I don't do how to play series on carriers, so I figured, well, let's not just talk about this, let me show you the reason why I don't play carriers. In my defense, I did play carriers a long time ago in a galaxy far away, like not with any real seriousness. I got all the way up to Lexington on the US line, never started down the Japanese line. So I decided, since the Japanese carriers are the current overpowered carriers, we'll just go ahead and we'll break out Hosho and let's see what we can do. Well, the removal of manual drop, that's brutal. The removal of strafe, that's brutal. Yeah, that was... I have no good videos of me playing Hosho. So I went ahead and I skipped past Zuiho and got straight into Ryojo because who doesn't like RJ? It's just, RJ is just so much fun. Anyway, so this map is Estuary. It is a tier 8 fight, and I am running the 1-2-2 configuration on Ryojo. And there are a number of things that I suck at with carriers, basically everything. To put it lightly, there's skills that I've not ever developed. Strafing when I went through the US carriers was not a thing. And so as a result, it was, kind of one of those situations where I never got good at playing carriers. I got manual drops down. That's not difficult. You'll see that I don't do a whole lot of manual drops with the dive bombers, and mostly because it's a lot of micromanaging to get it right. And quite frankly, I suck at this level of micromanaging. Like, 5, maybe 6 squads is about what I can handle before I just start losing complete and utter control. And you'll see that by the end of this match, I will most assuredly lose basically all control. So we've detected some ships down here to the south. You can see there's a fairly decent amount of those ships are going to be cruisers. And oh look, the Ryojo on the other team is a air superiority RJ. We'll strafe out this way. Maybe we'll get some fighters. Hey, we got one. So we strafed out of it, and we got some fighters going, and I'm trying to scramble to get my strike aircraft away from them. It's like, go away. No, really, go away. And then I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe I can sneak them around. And then I was like, no, wait. No, they can't. Run away. So this is like and again, trying to set up, get my fighters in on this to get them to be able to strafe without causing too many problems. You can see here I make a big mistake. I clumped all of those aircraft together, trying to get them to maneuver over other aircraft, over our friendlies, so that they start taking damage. You can see there, there's the concentration of aircraft. That was a recipe for disaster. Had he actually strafed that, I probably would have lost all of those strike aircraft, just poof, gone. Had that North Carolina not been in that group, they probably would have continued to pursue and shoot down my aircraft. But since he's distracted with my fighters that he shot down, unsurprisingly, we are going to go ahead and we're going to go dive around the other side of this and see if maybe we can't find something over on the other side away from his fighters in which we can actually attack. Oh, hey, look at that. Well, that's fascinating. Definitely get those fighter squadrons launched to go over there. Maybe we can't get those torpedo bomber. Oh, okay, good. They're not coming my way. But we will go ahead and we're going to line up a pretty healthy attack here on this New Mexico. At least we're going to try. Waiting for that manual drop indicator to come up. You can see not a whole lot of room for error here. We'll just go ahead and... Just go. Just go. Okay, set one. Set the other. And we lost that other torpedo bomber squadron, unfortunately. So we went ahead and we dropped torpedoes, and we're gonna get anything? 2, 3. Awesome. No floods. Man, that's frustrating. Need to run the flood flag, but unfortunately, The RJ only has 4 signal flag slots, so not a whole lot of room to throw a bunch of stuff on there. And yes, I am trying to go up the Japanese carrier line, but I don't know. We'll see how much effort I actually put into this. Unfortunately, it looked like we were going to lose that Cleveland there, but New Mexico barely took off a third of his health. There goes that Cleveland. Barely took off a third of his health. That's really quite unfortunate. I got my fighters out again. Woo! At this point, I'm really looking for things to just kind of pick off. Like, oh, we had their aircraft pop up in the middle a little bit. We definitely want to be paying attention to that. Their carrier seems to be very focused on trying to find my strike aircraft. And you can see here, I'm not doing a very good job of maintaining, keeping those guys active. I'm trying to keep this main fleet over here alive as long as possible. My hope is that this fleet will actually turn in and start pushing and cut off some ships so that I can actually attack something. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and run away because he's got 3 fighters. Look at how many fighters he's got coming towards me. We got those fighter squadrons are coming. See if I can't drag them over friendly AA. See if I can't maybe, drag them over friendly AA. Maybe I can get a lucky strafe off here and go. Nope. Maybe. Yes, we got one. All right. Unfortunately, those fighters are going to die. Just quick, strafe out. Get out of there, guys. Run away. Run away. So once again, his aircraft are basically... Well, try and line up yet another strafe here. Don't think it's going to work. We're just going to have them run away, and nope, there they go. They got captured. So we are almost out of our fighters, and they are basically done for. Now, again, while I was doing that, I completely lost sight of what my torpedo bombers were doing, what my dive bombers were doing. Need to get them all launched and in the air, figure out what the heck we're going to do. We got this Mogami here, but he's got those 3 fighter squadrons are right there. Man, this is frustrating. This was a very frustrating match, and how I ended up doing as well as I did is nothing short of a miracle. I mean, this game isn't like super awesome. I by no means would I call this an epic battle by any stretch of the imagination, but it definitely was an interesting one. You can see we are out of fighters already. Completely out of fighters. Jeez. All I have left are strike aircraft, which means pretty much guarantee that if his fighters are paying attention at all, I am screwed. He's got any incoming strike aircraft on my teammates, and there's his fighters. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to back off all of our stuff and try and figure out a more interesting path here. We're going to go see if we can't save this Mogami with our strike aircraft then, since apparently all of his fighters want to be on this side. Okay, never mind. We're going to go back down this way. And, oh man, it would be nice to have those fighters just get taken out. Kind of hovering them around, trying to pay attention to what I'm doing as a carrier. Okay, so they're starting to retreat, which means I'm going to start by moving my stuff down to this side. My hope is that I can make a strike off on something, maybe that Tirpitz that's down there by his lonesome. Maybe I'll get lucky and find the carrier. I don't know. We might get lucky and do that, but anyway, carrier gameplay, this top-down view, I don't mind the real-time strategy elements of it. My frustration with it is there's such a big disparity between good CV players and bad CV players, and then when you get up-tiered like this, where I'm in a Tier 6 carrier facing off against Tier 8 AA, it's very difficult to actually get any real damage done, and to live like any reasonable amount of time is exceptionally difficult. Also, there's no way to group, select all of my torpedo bombers or select all of my dive bombers all at once. It's just really frustrating, and there's really no reason for it. It just, I don't know, guys. I'm just not a fan. Like, this gameplay style, I mean, maybe it'll grow on me the more and more I practice it, the less and less ghetto it is. I don't know. Like, it's something that is a work in progress. And there's a couple things that I think carrier balance-wise would be a good idea. I've made this suggestion before in the past, but probably... Oh, hey, RJ. One of the more important things to do, in my opinion, is really need to take carriers and balance out their loadouts. I get real frustrated with having, U.S. carriers get a whole crap ton of fighters and all this nonsense and all of that, and just it makes no sense to me to do that kind of thing with all these things have different. Wow, look at this drop. Yeah, woo. Anyway, it makes no sense to me to try and keep going on with the way we've currently got things. Like, for instance, U.S. carriers at this tier have, unfortunately, next to no loadout options. You either go completely air superiority or you get completely hosed and go full strike. And if you do that, there's a fairly decent amount of issues with that. I mean, in general, it's just not a good thing. Like, if they would balance out the loadouts, and I don't care what they choose, but if they balance out the number of aircraft per squad plus the loadouts for each ship, I'm moving my fighters my dive bombers and torpedo bombers away from these fighters, hoping that my AA can kind of whittle them down a little bit. But they need to take it so that I don't care what they choose. If, for instance, an Independence has a 1-1-1 loadout, then RJ should have a 1-1-1 loadout as well. And the differences between the nations can be, for damage dealing anyway, you can always keep the torpedo bombers to be the main damage dealers for the Japanese, and you can keep the dive bombers for the U.S. Take fighters, give the U.S. more durability, more ammo, give the Japanese more speed, give them, I don't know. You can find ways to balance them out so that we don't have to rely on differences in number of aircraft to dictate the gameplay. One other thing that I would like to see happen is I would love to see carrier aircraft hit point pools scale based on the average tier. So right now, a Tier 6 aircraft going up against Tier 8 AA, it just gets absolutely decimated. Like, there is absolutely nothing that you as a carrier can do about Tier 8 AA. If you have to launch, if the last ship alive is a North Carolina with a boatload of hit points and hasn't taken any damage and has all of its AA guns, you're never going to get any strike aircraft through, even if you stack them on top of each other. It's just not going to happen with any form of efficiency. And the downside to that is a Tier 6 aircraft carrier is made basically obsolete in a Tier 8 game. I mean, I'm not the best carrier captain in the world, but you can see here we've not exactly made a decisive impact on the game. It's not happening. So what I would like to see is carrier aircraft, like I said, scale based upon the amount of the average tier of the game. So if, for instance, this match, there's a lot of Tier 8, so my aircraft would have closer to Tier 8 aircraft hit point pools as opposed to their current ones where you're facing off against Tier 8 AA, and this is me just trying to avoid getting these aircraft strafed and hopefully killing off the last of his fighters. What I'd like to see is right now, these Tier 6 aircraft just get absolutely destroyed by Tier 8 AA, but what would be nice is if you could scale that based on the average. See, he missed a strafe there. If you could scale it based on the average tier, it would mean that a Tier 6 carrier is not completely useless in a Tier 8 match. And I'm not saying that Tier 8 or Tier 6 aircraft need to have like this absolutely massive hit point advantage. That's not at all what I'm suggesting. All I'm saying is that there needs to be something here to make it so that you're being up-tiered in a carrier where you're the lowest man on the totem pole isn't such a death sentence. And right now it really is, and it's really frustrating at times. On the flip side to that, if you are in a Tier 8 fight in your battleship, but you're going up against a Tier 10 carrier, you no longer have to worry about the, your average tier calculation there would actually help out a lot there. Because what would end up happening is you would no longer have... Ooh, we got 2 torpedo hits there. you would no longer have the problem where a tier 10's aircraft are just so dominant that there's nothing you can do, right? So in that case, if the overwhelming tier is below, so it actually would be, if you're going up, like let's say you're in a North Carolina and you're going up against a Hikuru, if the majority of the ships in the game were tier 8 or below, or tier 8 and some tier 9s and then a handful of tier 10s, the average tier would bring their hit point pool down so that a Hikuru's aircraft would not be untouchable by your AA in game. And so that would actually be, that would actually address one of the more common complaints that people have with regards to high tier carriers being in a match against other aircraft. That's one of the more frustrating aspects of playing a battleship, is getting a higher tier carrier in a match and not being able to do anything to it. So I think that would definitely balance things out a little bit. Obviously, there's got to be some advantage to being a top tier carrier in a game, and I still think you would have that. It's just that it wouldn't be nearly as strong. And what you could do then there is, if all the aircraft had the scaling, hit point pool, we no longer have to worry about trying to balance out, can this aircraft carrier's aircraft, is it effective enough to do this? We don't have to worry about that anymore. We can now focus entirely on whether or not the damage done is appropriate, or whether or not we need to do something else with it. And we got some dive bombs. There was a manual dive bomb there. Got some fires rolling. Got my dive bombers here trying to get them split so that they don't get strafed into non-existence. And you can see I've once again completely forgotten about my torpedo bombers. Anyway, those are kind of my ideas for like carrier balance stuff. So definitely some form of scaling system for... Oh, there goes the Bayern. Definitely some form of scaling system for the hit point pool of aircraft so that at the... high and low end, you're not getting absolutely raped by higher tier AA, but by the same token, when you're top tier, you're not just this overwhelmingly dominant force. You are counterable. And because this guy's aircraft, his fighters are away from him, we're going to go try and see if we can't sink him. 71,647 damage. Not a horrible game by any stretch of the imagination for a tier 6 aircraft carrier in a tier 8 fight. We've been exceptionally lucky in the fact that we've managed to catch most of these ships largely off guard. So that has definitely helped some. And get this torpedo attack line. You'll see I'm doing mostly cross drops here, and that's because these guys are being particularly difficult to hit. Which is certainly their prerogative. I hate the aiming indicator on these. This one we're going to do a launch from just the one side. I think we'll be more than capable of sinking him with this. And we'll go ahead and go a little bit lower. We're going to get one. Got one. And he is flooding out. Nope, don't launch. Whew! Managed to save that torpedo bomber squadron. All right, 80,861 damage, and we got 2 sinks. Unfortunately, this is going to be the end of the match because we are going to cap them out before I get really any other damage. But again, you can see I'm using auto drop mostly for the dive bombers. It's too much micromanaging, and on ships as large as the Tirpitz, not that big of a deal to me. But yeah. Not really super fond with aircraft carrier gameplay at the moment. Still need to figure out strafing for fighters. Still need to figure out how to deal with other enemy carriers. The removal of manual drops from the low tiers and strafing from the low tiers is just nuts. I can't believe they did it. It's so crazy to me. Okay, so there's the end of the match. I wish they would bring that, like, maybe get rid of strafe. That would be fine, but keep the manual drops, or maybe keep strafe. I don't know. Anyway, 80,859 damage, 2 sinks. Woo! 1456 in base XP, 12 aircraft shot down. There is the detailed report. Most of the damage is obviously in torpedoes, and there's the credits and XP screen. Anyway, like I said, I'm not a good carrier gameplay. I'm not good at it. I plan on improving. You guys can laugh. Give me any tips you guys got. I would love to hear them. Anyway, I'm your Peacekeeper. Like, comment, subscribe, and thank you for watching.